Welcome to Insights into Success. We're with your host Paul Dodds. We hope to educate, inspire and motivate you to achieve your own personal success. We talk to guests from all around the world from a variety of walks of life to hear the realities of their own journey to success. What challenges have they faced? How have they coped with failure? And what have been the keys or will be the keys to their own success? In our Read to Succeed interviews, we talk books that have inspired our guests, and for some, they share their secrets to marketing success. Join us as we give you insights into success. Welcome back to Insights into Success. We're doing a special segment called Read to Succeed. Alicia Berberich, who was a recent guest, has agreed to stay on now and talk books. So, Alicia, I'm wanting to hear from you about some interesting books that you've read. And in particular, I want to know, obviously the name of them, the author, what they're about, and what it was with them that really resonated. And really, any topic is on the table. It's just all about inspirational books. So I'll leave you to take over.
Okay, thank you, Paul. I have two nonfiction, and then I have a fiction series that I'm reading that I'm really enjoying. But the first book I wanted to talk about is The Source. Yeah. And it's by Dr. Tara Swart, and she's a neuroscientist, and she works at MIT, and she is really brilliant in neuroscience, but she is really interested in manifesting. And she talks about how she's done research into the science behind manifesting to make it so that you understand the science of why it works, which is really fascinating. Right. But she makes it very approachable, and she does things like vision boarding and inspired actions. And she really has written a clear and easy book to understand. And she's one of my favorite peoples. And I follow her on Instagram also. So I highly recommend The Source. So that's the first book. Are you familiar with it? Have you read it?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to now that because that just sounds really good. I think for me, one of the things for me in that is to put the science behind it, because otherwise a lot of people might hear a bit about it and go, oh, look, it's just all hocus pocus. There's no real basis to it. So, it's a bit of a con or, all that sort of potential comments. So to have someone of her caliber step in and actually write a book about it, I think that is great. And I definitely would like to read it. And I'm sure a lot of people that maybe are questioning about whether, the whole concept actually is above board and but it's really based in science, so it's very interesting. No, it sounds good. So I'm definitely keen to read that one. Okay. And your next one?
And my second one is called How to Know a Person by David Brooks. Are you familiar with that one?
No, I don't know that one either.
Because he's written another book to building character, and he is so amazing. The one part that really stands out to me from this book is he was talking about his dear friend who died, committed suicide. He was an ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon, and just really got into depression, and it just got worse and worse. And it had been his childhood friend. And David tried to do everything he could to help him, but in the end, it just didn't work. And what he learned from that was so amazing, because it's like, how do you talk to someone who's thinking about suicide? How do you work with someone like that? And what he said is just by showing up and being there and listening to them and acknowledging their feelings is what they need. They don't need you to fix anything. I mean, this guy was a well-known surgeon, and he had the best help that was possible, but something was off, and he just needed someone to be there and listen and acknowledge it. So that was such a great way to show support. And so often we hear from friends who are, like they've got cancer or their partner died or something's happening. And, maybe we send a text or maybe we don't want to bother them and it's so hard, but just to pick up the telephone and call and say, I'm thinking about you. I know this is really hard. And just, I'm here if you want anything. I can bring groceries. I can do whatever you want, but just to acknowledge it instead of trying to pretend it's not happening, because that person is really suffering. And so he has really great strategies for that. And he's a beautiful writer, and it's an excellent book that I highly recommend.
Wow, sounds a good book too.
Yeah, it is. It says on the subtitle, The Art of Seeing Others Deeply and Being Deeply Seen. So I really recommend that. And he's a really wonderful writer. So those are my two nonfiction books. And then I've been reading this series because I work during the day, and then, but that night I like to read something sort of light and fluffy that's easy. So I
Yeah.
have a penchant for murder mysteries. It's something I got from my mother. She was always into murder mysteries, but I get nightmares easily. So it has to be something where there's like no vicious killing. It's like, so they're sort of cozy mysteries. But I've been reading this this series by Kay Rademacher. He's a German author, and they're translated from German. And what's so fascinating about this series is that they're set in Hamburg in 1947, so 2 years after the end of the war. And Hamburg was really, I mean, we took out Hamburg during the war because that was the big port town. And it's just so interesting, the details of what daily life was like in Hamburg during this time, and you really get a really sense of the character and the people and the environment. It's just really interesting. So that's what I like in reading these kind of books, is really because you really feel that sense of place. And this is so different from what I'm living with every day. So his books are really great. He has 3 books, and they're really wonderful. The Wolf Children, The Forger, and The Murderer Among Ruins are the 3 books.
Interesting. Well, you've given me 3 books that no one else has given me. I've got a lot of books on my read to succeed list, which is super cool. It's just so interesting to hear different suggestions from people. My challenge is to try and get around as many of them as I can and read them. But yeah, you've given me some good suggestions.
Do you read all your books, or do you use Audible?
Oh, well, that was going to be my question for you. But yes, I'll answer the question first. I have not listened to, I think I've listened to one audiobook, but predominantly I like to read. I'm not adverse to audio at all, but the only thing that would concern me is being distracted and not really taking it in so much. I think I'd be more inclined to not absorb it as much if it's audio, whereas with a physical book, I think I'm more inclined to.
You can underline, you can really make it yours.
Yeah. How about you? What's your preference for how you like to read?
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time in the car, so I do listen to a lot of books in the car, but I love it when I'm listening to I used to travel a lot with my mom, and so we would listen to murder mysteries in the car, and that was good because you can just create the scene in your head and you don't have to remember every little thing. So I remember a lot of those books, but I do listen to a lot of books by Audible, but I also love my Kindle book because I travel a lot too. So Kindle is easy. And what I love about the Kindle is you can highlight it. And then are you familiar with the program called Readwise?
No, I've heard of it, but no, I'm not.
It's such a cool program because if you highlighted it, you connect Readwise with your Kindle and your email, and then you highlight it. And then it saves all your highlights, and it tells you the things other people have highlighted. And then every day in my email, I get a remembrance from something that I've highlighted in books over the years. So it's constantly reminding me of things I highlighted from books, which I just love getting that. Oh yeah, that's cool. Right. Yeah, it's really cool. So
yeah, and I think that sounds amazing. And I wasn't aware of that. And another thing I like from like a Kobo or Kindle is the fact that, for instance, if you get a word that you're not quite sure what it means, you can just highlight it and find out the definition rather than having to have a dictionary sitting next to you to work it out.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I prefer either Kindle or a physical book. Audio, I think it makes more sense probably like in America where you've got such big distances to travel sometimes. I think it would make a lot more sense. For us here, smaller country, not normally in the car that long to really get too much value out of it with nature what I do. But yeah, it's interesting. Different people, like some people talk about how they listen to audio, but they listen to it at like 1.5 speed.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Right. And you find that's easier to listen to?
Normal people talk so slowly. I don't understand why they talk so slowly. But no, it's you get used to it. And when it's on just one X, then you think, oh my gosh, it doesn't hold my attention. But when I put it on 1.5, I'm really riveted and listening, so I can concentrate much better.
Yeah, and that may be the thing I need to try if I was listening to an audio. Maybe at 1.5, I'd be more inclined to focus on it, whereas at normal speed.
Yeah, and you can do a step up like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you get through more books that way
Yeah. So how often do you read?
every day.
Wow. Oh, you're
Every day.
good.
No, I like
Yeah.
reading. That's like, if you saw how many books are in my room, my husband's always complaining. He's like, "You have taken up all the bookshelf." Ongoing battle, but
Yeah.
because I like having my books, even though I've already read them. I don't like to give them away, because just by seeing the heel of it, then I
Yeah.
remember the book and remember what happened, and I think about it, and I love my books. My books are my friends.
And so for you with your reading, do you tend to, I mean, you sort of touched on it before, but like if you had a physical book and I was to look at it, would it have highlighters through it? Would it have sticky tabs? What would it look like?
I took my tabs out to show you, but yeah, to tell you the truth, I have 2 copies of the source, and the other one is like got flags all over it, and I make
Right.
comments and stuff.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
because the challenge is to retention, it's to read it, but to retain it. So
yeah.
yeah, unless you've got
Yeah,
a
I have
photographic
a
memory.
special notebook. Like, I have a notebook here that it's my gold notebook. And I just started this one. And then when I'm reading a book, then I make little notes in my notebook, and then I go through my notebook when I'm, thinking about it. So
Yeah.
so then I review it. But that's like that Readwise app. It just sends me little tidbits every day that help me, especially because I read a lot of marketing and business books, just to
Right.
stay current on what's happening. And then it sends me little tidbits. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that today. So I try things out that it sends
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I know it sounds super cool. I'll have to investigate that because I wasn't, I think I've heard of it, but I wasn't aware of it.
Well, especially if you use Kindle already, then it's really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been really fun. When I sort of became aware of you and what you did, was like, I've got to talk to this person. So, yeah, you haven't disappointed. It's been really enjoyable. So thank you very much, Alicia, for
Oh,
spending
it's
some
my
time
pleasure.
and
I love
sharing with
chatting
me.
with you.